Hello, welcome to oillampstock. Today I was thinking about a few things and I wanted to do a little history lesson.
We're going to cover some things from the past, kind of look back before we start looking forward.
I know that a lot of the camps will show you the slave trade and how we came over here, but they don't tell you much about what actually happened once we got here. And well, everybody knows we were slaves. Everybody knows that they called us niggers. But I don't know if everybody understands that the way they treated us became progressively worse as time went on. Because, you know, there are evil people and they were doing evil things as they do. But not all evil people agree on everything. And what I mean by that is you see story after story of there were these slaves and oh my goodness, there were these wonderful white folk that helped lead those slaves through the Underground Railroad or whatever. They helped them and they fought to try to abolish slavery. And so, you have a lot of our people saying, well, all white folk ain't bad. All those people from the other nations aren't bad because, some of them helped us. And that's true. But all of the other nations are heathens. So all of them are evil. That evil may not just may not manifest all in the same way. So when they first started getting us over here, buying us from the other people that kind of looked like us but were from a different nation and bringing us over here, they didn't just treat us really bad and nasty all at once. That took time and it took a plan. See, there was a time when all white folk weren't the same. There was the Greeks, and there was the French, the Europeans, and all of these people felt like they were all from that particular group. So they fought each other. And, they fought over power, money, and all the things that, devils fight over. And so not all of them was really on board with the mistreatment of our people the way that they did it. So how did they get most of the world to be okay, or at least the white world to be okay with treating us the way they did? Well, they came up with this black white thing, right? So we were niggers and they were white people. So the Italians were no longer Italians, they were white folk. The French were no longer French, they were white folk. All of those nations came together in order to bring us down, in order to help keep us down. So because before then we've always had, since Esau, blacks and whites living in close proximity together, working or trading together. They act like, oh well, somebody ended up in Africa somehow, saw some black people, and then whoops, there they are, let's put them on boats because they're different and we've never seen black people anymore. But we know that in Europe there were black people. They were called the Moors or what have you, but there were black people in Europe. So all of that, we had never seen them before and we called them niggers because we thought they were from Nigeria. All of those are lies. But we didn't know any better because they are the ones who were teaching us. And we believe and knew what it is they wanted us to believe and know. The Bible says all nations have come together in order to destroy us. And it has taken all nations to that to destroy us, because we are in all nations. So all of these nations had to come together and tell a lot of the same lies in order to keep us here, and not ever want to come out and tell the truth. Now you hear some people wanting to say, oh yeah, those black people in America were the Hebrew Israelites, but it's only now that you're starting to hear that, because they feel like they are trying to get on the other side of this and look a little bit better than somebody else, because the lie is already being broken. So I say that because I want to get to what it says in the 13th Amendment.
13th Amendment?
The 13th Amendment. We were slaves. In the 13th Amendment, which was, I believe, the 13th Amendment says, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the parties shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So the 13th Amendment is what gave our nation its freedom. Now, a lot of people said that, what's that guy's name? Lincoln freed the slaves, but he didn't free the slaves. That's, let's pump up this white guy and make him a hero to you niggers. He didn't. I mean, but he owned slaves. He didn't. I don't know about freeing them. So that was a lie. But so the 13th Amendment gave us our freedom. Now, what is the definition of freedom? Freedom is the quality or state of being free. It is the absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in choice or action. Liberation from slavery or restraint or from the power of another. It is independence. It is the quality or state of being exempt or released, usually from something onerous. Now, let's look at the definition of slavery. Slavery is drudgery or toil, submission to a dominating influence, the state of a person who is a chattel of another, and then the practice of slaveholding. So we were this chattel to another, and we were considered to be animals, property, the absence of being free. Now, but with the 13th Amendment, it said that we were no longer a slave. So if I was a slave, as a slave, I had to do what they told me to, how they told me to, when they told me to, and I had to obey whatever law they put in front of me because I belonged to them. But when the 13th Amendment was passed, that said I no longer had to obey their laws. I was no longer their property. They could not tell me what to do anymore. So then we have the 14th Amendment, and it says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Well, when we go back to the 13th Amendment, it gave us freedom. It did not make us citizens. And you might say, well, what difference does that make? They treat me like I'm a citizen. And I will say, one of the things that used to bother me or I didn't really understand was women's suffrage. Why were women going through the trouble of changing the laws to say that they had to be treated a certain way? When there was really no law that prohibited them from being treated that way. And then you look at the gays. Yeah, there were a few laws that prohibited them from being gay. They could be put in jail in some states for some laws. But nobody was enforcing those laws. And even though nobody was enforcing those laws, they make sure that they are going and fighting every law that they can and changing the laws and going to the Supreme Court and doing all of those things in order to make the laws in their favor. So why do they do that if nobody is putting them in jail because they're gay? Well, they're doing that because the only thing that matters in the courtroom is the law, or at least supposedly. So even though no one is putting them in jail at the moment, they know that if they don't change those laws, at some point in the future, people's feelings might change about them, and they could go back and start using those laws to put them in jail. Women fought in order to change laws for the same reason, because they know that it doesn't matter how people are treating them today, it matters how people are treating them tomorrow. And so they wanted to make sure that you treated them or would have to treat them in a certain way according to the law. Now, we were given our freedom. So at this point, according to the Constitution, they couldn't arrest you and put you in jail because you didn't do something they wanted you to do, because you were no longer under their jurisdiction. You weren't a part of them. They brought a nation over here and enslaved them. Once they gave that nation freedom, that nation, our nation, was not subject to them anymore. So then you have a huge big thing with the KKK and people going out and hanging us and killing us because, oh, they didn't know what to do with us. Here we are, these people that they thought was animals, now able to get jobs and buy land and start building stuff up for ourselves. And a lot of us, because we had learned and were hard workers, were starting to be able to get just as much or better than the white people whose country this is. So, I'm sorry, go ahead. They send out their slave patrols and they start arresting us. And you might say, well, hold on. They can't arrest us because we are free. Well, yeah, we're free according to their law, but we couldn't enforce our freedom. So we couldn't enforce our freedom because we were broken. And a lot of us didn't know what to do. So we were still wanting our master to take care of us. So then let's go back to the law. The law says that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for crime. So if they come through and arrest us and put us in prison, then they can make us slaves again. And we have to do whatever they say. So they went from making money from having us on their plantations to all of this capitalism and big business, and now we're making money for them from behind bars. So it's even better for the slave owners because they didn't have to take care of us individually out of their pocket. They kept us in these nice, neat prison camps.
Now, this happened. If you haven't read enough history or looked back to see what happened in the United States directly after the Emancipation Proclamation, directly after came mass incarceration, where arresting people for trumped up charges and all types of things got mainly black males behind bars working again. Now, this went on for quite a bit of time, and if you haven't been watching the news, some southern states have brought chain gangs right back again. They never really left. They just kind of went undercover. Many federal prisons do have working chain gangs again and have them doing all kinds of small odd jobs, and that's where you get the idea of people making license plates.
And a lot of these big businesses are making tons of money from the work they are forcing prisoners to do. So now I listened to Kanye West, and he said that 400 years had to have been a choice. And a lot of people got upset with him when he said that, because slavery's not a choice. There's no way I would choose to be a slave. We were put in chains, and and they're right. But so is Kanye. Because you can say that when we had shackles on our feet and we were in slavery, that was not a choice. And I believe, I agree with that 100%. But today we are still slaves. And it's not because we have shackles on our feet, it's because we have shackles on our mind. Nobody wants to look at these amendments, at these laws, and say, wait a minute, this law doesn't apply to me. Because if I say I'm not a United States citizen, then I lose the benefits that they are allowing me to have by being one. So I still want them to take care of me. I am too scared to try and take care of myself. You look at the people in Africa, in South Africa, who were kicking out their slave masters. And a lot of them are scared because some of the things that their slave masters provided, even though it wasn't a lot, is more than they're able to provide for themselves right now. And some of them are saying, it was better when apartheid was going on. If you look in the Bible and you go to Moses when he was leading his people out of Egypt, there was some of us on that journey that said it was better when I was back in Egypt under Pharaoh's rule. And here we are in the United States, and a lot of us are saying it's better to be a slave than it is to be free.
And that's really because the fear is what provides the shackles. Think of it this way. If there's trouble at my house, either I'm going to have to deal with it or I'm going to call 911. That's the choice. If I'm a citizen, I'm going to call 911 and the police are going to show up and they're going to deal with it. If there's a fire, I'm going to call 911 and the fire department is going to deal with it. Or I'm going to say, no, I am an individual and I will handle the problems that happen at my house. And if there's a fire, I'll get the garden hose out and I'll get my neighbors and we'll fight it ourselves and we'll deal with it. And in all reality, this benefit that people think that they get for calling 911 or participating in the system, is it really a benefit? Right now, as black people are calling 911 or having 911 called on them, they are being killed. So you're calling someone to kill you. Now, does this happen every single time? Of course not. It doesn't. But in all reality, police officers are just shooting black people today. So is there benefit of being a citizen? I don't know. I don't think so.
The Bible says that we would be taken into the land of our enemy, and that's where we are. We are at war. People are out there upset and they're protesting because this black person was killed and this black person was killed and there was no justice and nobody went to prison for it or whatever else. But we are not citizens of this country. So they don't have to do that stuff. That's why they can kill one of us, go to trial, and be acquitted. We don't have the same rights they do. They give them to us as they see fit. The law says that they can pick and choose if they are going to abide by a law or not. That's why you can be pulled over by a cop and get a ticket for speeding, or be pulled over by the cop and they let you off with a warning for speeding. Because they can pick and choose. They have been choosing to treat us as citizens for the most part because the slavery they get from us has been worth it. And we haven't been strong enough to say, no, forget that. I don't want it. Put me back in jail. I'd rather be in jail than to allow you to try to rule over me. I'd rather have those bonds on me and be treated like the slave you think I am than to pretend as if we are all friends.
And it comes down to a way of thinking. This all comes down to a way of thinking. Am I saying every black person today needs to go to jail? That's not what I'm saying to you. But what I am saying to you is there's a difference between your nation and the country you happen to be in.
And if you say that you are a nation, then you need to start standing up and proclaiming it everywhere. You get arrested, you don't ask for a lawyer to represent you from their laws. Because what do their laws have to do with you? Or, because if you get up there and you ask for that lawyer, then you are saying that they have jurisdiction over you. You cannot participate in the system and then say the system doesn't count. You have to choose. Are you an American citizen, or are you a nation of people that was chosen by the Most High to be above them? And then you have to start acting on it. The Bible is an action book.
See, we watch these shootings in the news like, I don't know, I can't even remember. There's so many of them. I can't even give you one. But let me take the last one, the last major one, the shooting in Las Vegas. The shooting in Las Vegas happened on a Saturday night. Wasn't no Hebrew Israelites there. You know why? It was Saturday. What we doing on Saturdays?
Oh, you talking about the mass shootings?
Yeah, I'm talking about talking about mass shootings, right? Just at the moment.
Okay.
Wasn't no Hebrew Israelites there. Why? It happened on the Sabbath. We was at our house. None of our folks was there. You should have been celebrating the Sabbath. Didn't have nothing to worry about with that. Hey, there's all these school shootings and stuff going on. You know why I ain't worried about school shootings? My kids ain't in school. You know why? We don't participate in this run. Not doing it. My kids are at home. Now, I'm not saying everybody has the same situation we got. Our kids, a long time ago, were in school. We've since made some changes, gotten them out, gotten away from all that. So a lot of this stuff that happens in the world out there, I ain't worried about it. You know why? We don't participate in it. When's the last time we've been to a movie theater? I can't tell you. Just to be honest, I can't even tell you the last movie I saw in a theater, because we don't do that. So I ain't worried about shootings at theaters. I ain't worried about shooting at a mall. I ain't worried about none of that. Now, do we go to the store and purchase things? Yes, we go to the store. Do I have a bank account? I haven't found the way to get around that yet. The minute I do, I will tell you how to do it. But I ain't figured it out yet. And I'm not saying that there's total answers to everything. But what I am saying to you is, if I'm asked, who are you? My answer is going to be Hebrew Israelite. That's my answer. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. And if that means I'm going to end up going to jail over it, I'm going to end up going to jail over it. If I'm going to have to defend my children over it, I'm going to defend my children over it. But it's not going to be, I'm an American citizen and what do I have to do? No, I'm done with that. I've been there. I was in slavery. I'm not in it any longer. I'm out. Now, there is a mental slavery that affects all of us. Black, white, everybody. Every single person in the United States of America, every single person that is in this country is affected by the propaganda, by the mental stereotypes that are placed on them. So a person doesn't even have to know, they don't have to think consciously, I'm against a black person, I'm against this person, I'm against that person. The propaganda has set that up in people's minds. Police officers, if you were to ask an individual police officer, they might say to you, oh, I'm not racist, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm trying to be as fair as possible. But does that mean they ain't gonna shoot you? No. Why? Because they see you as a criminal. And they see you as a criminal because everything in the media has said you're a criminal. And when they get in that situation, boom, there they are. Oh, well, they were shooting a criminal.
It's not just that. If you look at those so-called Jewish people, they went through whatever their Holocaust or whatever they say it was that happened to them. And to this day, they are still hunting down Germans, Nazis. And they don't care if they were shooting the Jews or if they were filing paperwork. Because they understand that it is every person that worked in that system that had them in that position. So when I look at a policeman or a lawyer or a judge, all of these people are working to keep me in slavery. So I don't care if a cop shot me or somebody I care about. I don't care if they've never pulled their gun, because if you are working for a system that is enslaving me, I have an issue with you. If you are saying, well, I'm doing it in order to help people out, all you can do to help me is to quit your job. Because if there weren't good people or people who believe themselves to be good in that system, then all you would have was rotten ones, and people would know that that thing was evil. They wouldn't second guess it. Oh, my mama's cousin is a cop. So all you're doing is helping to keep that evil going. You're not changing anything. You're not stopping anything. You ain't standing up and talking about telling on the bad cops or the bad lawyers or the bad judges, because hell, you wouldn't have anything else to do. You're the one they throw out there that says, oh, look at how friendly this one is. You're evil. You are hurting my people. And then you want me to say there's something good about you. I can't do it. And as far as the lawyers and the judges, they know this law, or at least they should. I mean, they did go to school. So why ain't they telling you that? Why ain't they telling you that you are free, that you are not subject to their laws?
So thank you so very much for joining us and spending a little time with us this evening. Take a look at our other videos. They're all over Black Junction and on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Help us to get a little closer to the Most High. Please share your thoughts with us and anyone else. If you see someone out there that, or if you think this video would help someone out there, send it out. Share any of our videos with anyone you like, and please just let us know your feelings and your thoughts about it. Hey, thank you guys so very much.
Thank you.